On a Thursday in July, a lab in Beijing that most Americans had never heard of released an AI model called Kimi K3. By Friday morning, American financial television had reached a verdict. The data center build-out is a bubble meeting its pin. The labs are finished, the edge is gone, chip stocks slid into a bear market, and the loudest voices in the room agreed. This changes everything. Here is the problem with that verdict. We ran this exact experiment 18 months ago, at full scale, and the results are in. So let's slow down and walk the scare all the way through, operator by operator, invoice by invoice. Because the model is Chinese, but the build-out is American, and those two sentences were never in tension. Strip away the coverage and the release is easy to state. Moonshot AI, a Beijing lab backed by Alibaba, shipped Kimi K3 on July 16th, 2.8 trillion parameters. A million token context window. And of its 896 experts, just 16 wake up for any given token. On the independent scoreboards, it landed second or third, behind only the newest American flagships. A genuinely elite model. Not the best in the world, and a gap now measured in months. 3 details never made the panicked segments. First, there are no weights yet. K3 launched as an API, and the open weights, the thing that makes an open model open, are promised for July 27th. Second, the price went up. $3 in, 15 out, per million tokens. Moonshot's most expensive model ever, priced right into the American structure. Challengers that reach the frontier stop discounting. Third, the machine is not small. Moonshot's own guidance says run this on 64 accelerators or more. Free weights are not free inference. And one more thing shipped that almost nobody mentioned. K3 arrived inside Kimi Code, a terminal agent that reads your files, writes your code, runs your commands, and spawns its own sub-agents. The same product category as Claude Code and Codex. It even ships a one-step importer for your existing setup. The favourite thought experiment: what if a Chinese lab wrapped a frontier model in a world-class coding agent? Stop being a thought experiment on July 16th. The reaction arrived on schedule. Axios. China just erased America's AI lead. Fortune called it a second DeepSeek shock. A Goldman Sachs desk note wondered, in writing, whether the era of compute expansion may have come to an end. And the White House AI advisor posted, "This is concerning. For the first time, a Chinese model is scoring at or near the frontier. This is how you lose the AI race." But read the loudest alarm again, slowly. The complaint is not that a Chinese lab built a good model. It is that America is banning new data centers, while a rival ships. The sharpest panic in Washington, decoded, is a demand for more build-out, not less. And hold the tape in your head too. Chips had been falling for days before Moonshot said a word. And on the very Thursday, the panic broke. TSMC, the company that fabricates the chips China supposedly just made unnecessary, raised its capital spending guide by $8 billion. Rewind 18 months. To January 27, 2025, a Chinese hedge fund spin-off called DeepSeek sits on top of the American App Store, and the market does what the television tells it to. Nvidia falls 17% and loses $589 billion of value in a single day, the largest one-day loss any company had ever recorded. Vistra, a Texas power generator, falls 28%. GE Vernova, 21%. Vertiv, roughly 30%. The logic was exactly this week's logic. If intelligence is about to be cheap and Chinese, who needs American gigawatts? Then the 18 months happened. Nvidia reclaimed its record within 5 and sits today roughly $2 trillion above that panic day. Vertiv, whose cooling systems the sell-off declared unnecessary, roughly tripled. So did GE Vernova. One honest asterisk belongs in the record. Constellation still trades below its panic day close because this market does reprice things. It just repriced almost everything else in the opposite direction from the one the sirens called. Prices can be wrong in both directions. Budgets are harder to fake. Every company writing the biggest checks in technology looked directly at DeepSeek, the proof that intelligence was getting radically cheaper, and concluded it should spend more. Microsoft, $80 billion then, about 190 now. Meta, 65, now guiding as high as 145. Alphabet, 75, now 185. Amazon, 100, now roughly 200. Capital spending doubled in the 18 months after cheap intelligence supposedly made it unnecessary. Why? Microsoft's chief executive answered on the day of the sell-off itself. In 9 words, Jevons paradox strikes again. As AI gets more efficient and accessible, its use skyrockets. An economist noticed the pattern in 1865. More efficient steam engines did not reduce Britain's coal consumption. They exploded it. Substitute tokens for coal. Google processed 480 trillion tokens in the month of May 2025. Today it processes 3.2 quadrillion a month, 300x in 2 years. Cheap intelligence is not the build-out's enemy. Cheap intelligence is the build-out's business model. To see who a Chinese model can and cannot hurt, you need one piece of machinery the television never draws. An American enterprise can consume frontier AI in exactly 3 ways. Lane 1, a US closed API. Anthropic, OpenAI, Google. American contracts, American law. A compliance department that answers your auditors. Lane 2, a Chinese hosted platform. The model may be brilliant. The jurisdiction comes with it. Lane 3, open weights on infrastructure you control. The model's passport stays at the border. Your data never leaves. The DeepSeek year demonstrated how America sorts among those lanes in a single 2-week window. The app was banned by the Navy, the Pentagon, NASA, and the state of Texas and blocked by most large enterprises. The weights went up on Azure 2 days after the sell-off, and Amazon boasted about being the first cloud to serve them fully managed. Same model, same week. Banned as a Chinese service, embraced as downloadable software under American control. Microsoft's president even told the Senate that employees may not use the app, while Azure hosts the weights, because the open model can be run, in his words, without sending data back to China. Kimi itself has been living proof for a year. When Moonshot open-sourced K2 last July, Grok was serving it from American silicon within 3 days, 40 times faster than Moonshot's own API. Today, Microsoft hosts the Kimi family in Azure on Microsoft Paper. In a study of 100 trillion rooted tokens, Chinese open models grew from 1% of global usage to roughly 30%. And that inference runs overwhelmingly on American and allied clouds. The weights come west, the data stays home. The electricity gets consumed in Virginia, Ohio, and Texas. Now run the scare all the way out. Give it everything it wants. Say it is next year, and Moonshot ships K4. And this time it is first on every scoreboard. Best model in the world. Best coding agent in the world. Chinese. And cheap. The panic's next sentence is always the same. And then corporate America defects, so walk into 3 real buildings and try to make the defection happen. Start with a defense prime, because it is the shortest walk. Under US export law, putting controlled technical data anywhere a foreign person can access it is an export. Full stop. An inference API cannot even use the encrypted cloud carve-out, because a model has to decrypt your prompt to answer it. Sending weapons engineering to a Beijing-hosted coding agent is not an aggressive procurement posture. It is a federal offence with an audit trail. There is no CIO, no board, no version of that meeting. Pharma hits a different wall. Patient data lives inside audited compliance boundaries that no Beijing host can offer. And the crown jewels are worse. A drug program's prompt stream, the molecules you ask about, the failures you probe, is a live map of a multi-billion-dollar pipeline. Now read one sentence of Chinese law. Article 7. All organizations and citizens shall support, assist, and cooperate with national intelligence efforts. That is not a conspiracy theory. It is a statute, and it binds every company in the People's Republic, Moonshot included. The lawyers do not need to believe anything sinister, they just need to read. A bank hits the same wall in a different uniform. Its regulators require audit rights that no Beijing vendor can grant. So there is the finding. For exactly the enterprises the panic names, Lane 2 is not a worse option. It is not an option. The data cannot make the trip. Which means a better Chinese model cannot move their dollars to a Chinese platform. What it can do, the day the weights land, is become the best free input American enterprise has ever been handed. Pulled inside the firewall, fine-tuned on data that never leaves the building, running on racks they rent or own. The model is the free part. Everything under it gets bought. And it gets bought here. Into this exact debate 2 weeks before K3 walked Alex Karp. Palantir's chief executive sat down on CNBC's Squawk Box and torched the polite version of the enterprise AI trade. Something has gone completely wrong, he said. Executives are livid. I am paying for tokens that create no value, and these people are stealing the weights and alpha of my business. And then he said the sentence his own company would clip, caption, and push to 4.5 million views. What the technical customers want, he said, is control. Control over their compute, their models, their data stack, and their alpha. They want to know they own the means of production. Karp is talking his book. Palantir sells exactly the sovereignty he is describing. But the fear he is monetizing is real anyway. And 12 days later, Microsoft's chief executive wrote the same warning as an architecture. A company should be able to use a model without giving up the knowledge that makes it unique. The day after K3 landed, the All In podcast aired the demand data point of the week. From the chief executive of Ramp, the company that watches AI spending cross its corporate cards. Token spend among Ramp customers has grown 21 times in the last year. 21x, not 21%. The median business on its rails now runs 9 different models. Nobody is picking one permanent winner. They are building portfolios, routing the work, and keeping the learning loop as their own property. Now put the 3 weeks together. Karp says own the GPUs, own the data, own the model, control the alpha. Nadella says own your learning loop. The All-In panel says put an independent layer between yourself and every model vendor. Every one of those sentences is a purchase order for the third lane. And the third lane has one input requirement: a frontier-grade model whose weights you are allowed to hold. The Karp warning and the Kimi release are the same story, told from opposite ends. One manufactures the demand for self-hosted intelligence. The other just improved the supply and put a ship date on it. So the bank, the farmer, and the prime start standing up serious self-hosted capacity with a frontier open model as the free ingredient. Itemize what that actually buys. Accelerators from Nvidia and AMD, racked in-house, or rented from the neoclouds, the memory tower on every single accelerator, from the only 3 companies on Earth that can build it. Servers, rack integration, the network fabric stitching the cluster together, power distribution, and liquid cooling from Vertiv and Eaton, turbines and grid equipment from GE Vernova, electrons from Constellation and Vistra, shells from Equinix and Digital Realty, construction crews from Quanta, magnets from MP Materials under a Department of Defense price floor, and the control plane that keeps the alpha fenced, which is the product Palantir sells. That is the entire secret of this story, and it fits in one sentence. The invoice does not have a nationality column. A token served from Kimi weights in a Virginia data center consumes the same silicon, the same memory, the same megawatts, the same cooling loops as a token served from an American labs model in the same building. When open weights pull a new population of buyers into the market, the checks route to the same suppliers, the panic just marked down. Now go down the stack, layer by layer, and ask what a triumphant Chinese open model actually does to each one. Not vibes, order books. Second tier, closed models. High pressure. Frontier token margins. Pressure. Though the frontier price itself is holding so far. Thin wrappers around someone else's model. Pressure. The control plane. Evaluations, routing, security. More models means more governance. That layer benefits. Hyperscalers, silicon, memory, data centers, power. Mixed, tilting toward more demand. And rare earths. Real demand but indirect. Too many links in between to trade them as an AI proxy. The order books put numbers on that tilt. SK Hynix, booked solid through 2026. Already writing 2027 contracts. Data center vacancy, 1%, a record low, with 92% of everything under construction spoken for before the roof goes on. GE Vernova, a $150 billion backlog, with more data center equipment ordered in one quarter than in all of last year, and 2 terawatts of generation waiting in American grid queues. A model release does not unbook a fab, it does not unlease a pre-leased hall, it does not claw back a deposit on a turbine. An honest ledger has a debit side, and it is specific. If your business is reselling undifferentiated tokens, or a thin product wrapped around someone else's API, the frontier arriving free is a genuine problem. OpenAI cut its flagship reasoning price 80% in a single day. DeepSeek halved its own prices again in September. Token costs are down roughly 1,000-fold in a few years. That is real pressure on the sell side of intelligence itself. But notice how narrow that region is. Margins on software, not orders for hardware. The panic pointed a software margin story at a hardware order book. Which leaves the labs, the honest question, because they sell the one thing K3 competes with directly. State the bear case fairly. Every time the open frontier closes the quality gap, the premium window shrinks. And OpenAI is carrying roughly $1.4 trillion of data center commitments against about $20 billion of disclosed annual revenue. That math needs demand and pricing to hold for years. Now the evidence. The labs just grew through the most hostile open weight environment in history. Enterprise spending on language models went from $3.5 billion to a $37 billion year. And the share flowing to open models fell while they were free, 19% down to 13%, because quality gaps beat price gaps in this market. Anthropic says its run rate revenue crossed $47 billion this May. And Moonshot priced K3 at American levels because frontier intelligence clears at frontier prices no matter who makes it. The commodity end of this market is a bloodbath. The frontier end keeps repricing upward. Both of those are true. The labs live at the frontier end. So here is the calibrated verdict. K3 pressures the labs at the edges. The commodity tier. Last year's models. Consumer subscriptions. On current evidence, it does not dent the enterprise core where the revenue actually lives. Valuations will wobble every time the frontier gap narrows, and the wobble is legitimate. But a margin story is not a solvency story, and neither one is a build-out story. The cleanest one-line verdict of the entire episode. K3 attacks rents, not watts. It compresses what can be charged for intelligence. It does not reduce by a single megawatt or a single memory stack what intelligence runs on. And if you want the freshest evidence that the panic is aimed at the wrong layer, look at the very same week. 3 days before K3 reached American screens, New York signed the nation's first statewide moratorium on new hyperscale data centers, pausing permits for anything over 50 megawatts, because residential power prices are up nearly 70% since 2019. Sit with that pairing. In the same 7 days, the market panicked that a Chinese model would strand American data centers, while an American state passed an emergency freeze because too many data centers want to be built. Both of those cannot be true. The order books say which one is. None of this says nothing can hurt the build-out. Power that cannot be permitted. Grid queues that outlast investment horizons. Memory that cannot be manufactured fast enough. A genuine break in demand. Those are the risks an operator actually watches. And a Chinese benchmark chart is not on the list. The machine's constraint was never the model. It is everything the model runs on. So here is Kimi K3, brought back down to earth. The model is Chinese, genuinely excellent, and about to be free. The build-out is American, sold out, backlogged, and short of everything except demand. The first sentence feeds the second. It is not doom, it is the next phase. The build-out is a machine with 100 moving parts. Data centers, power, networking, memory, minerals. Stack maps takes each one apart layer by layer, down to the companies at every step, with sources you can check. That was the whole machine. Downloaded. And when the next release week comes, you will already know where to look.